Good morning to all of you. We want to say welcome to the headquarters of the Liberia National Police. As usual, we will take our time to brief you about unfoldings or achievements of our administration. So today we've called you to brief you on some very important developments that we've achieved from the Liberia National Police. This press conference is going to be addressed by Inspector General of Police Honorable Regular Coleman. So at this juncture, the podium is now turned over to Inspector General.
Good morning to all. As we promised that every now and then we will keep the public informed as it is our duty, we've been able to keep the lines open and convey a lot of information to the media, just not through this medium, but through the Office of the Press and Public Affairs and our availability to anyone who's able to reach us by phone to give an answer to whatever issues there are. Today we've just compiled a few pieces of key information that I would like to officially release to the public because there are concerns surrounding these things. And we are duty bound as law enforcement practitioners to communicate and relate to the people we serve. We have no other duty but to continue to serve the people, and if they have questions, we must answer. As it relates to the issue in Kinjo, which is one of the pressing matters at hand, this is the investigation from it's in two different components. One has to do with the criminal investigation, and the other has to do with the officer-involved shooting. We are most concerned with the officers involved shooting because it resulted into violence, and they compiled a report, and that report has been forwarded to the Ministry of Justice. We have recommended in that report that the Minister of Justice forwards the report for further probe to the Civilian Oversight Complaint Board, which has civil oversight of the Liberia National Police, just to increase our level of accountability. We are a party to this particular investigation, even though we are the official body responsible for investigation in the country, but we are now delegating our responsibility to the civil oversight body for a second review before it is even the findings are even released to the public. Because anybody could say, "Oh, this is the police, they investigating themselves," and stuff like that. So let it go over. And on our board, you have the Bar Association, you have the Association of Law Enforcement Professionals here, you have the Independent Human Rights Commission, you have the Federation of Liberian Youth, and so many other reliable organizations that's a part of that board. So the report is at the Ministry of Justice, pending forwarding to the Civil Oversight Complaint Board. In addition to that, so I won't go any further because until they can look at it and give us a final report, I think we want to leave it at that. But for our part, at least it is concluded. And then growing out of that, there are some recommendations here within the police that we will be implementing because we realize that the use of force policy is something that has to be that officers have to do continuous training for. So part of our recommendation is that on a yearly basis, that officers will go through the use of force training, and that even the existing use of force policy that we have here will also be recommended that it also be reviewed and that it be amended to include different levels of escalations when you're dealing with conflicts. We are also engaging with the government, asking them to compensate the families and make arrangements for the remains to be buried. So that's where we are with the Kinville issue. We have open lines with members of the community. I know that there are concerns. They're willing to hear feedback from the interministerial committee that visited Kinville and listen to their recommendation. The major thing that they have been calling for, it was immediately addressed on our day, but there are other counts that they're still waiting for feedback. So we made follow up with the committee, and I think through the legislature, we will be reaching out to them so as to avoid any further escalation in that area. I will also like to use this medium to reach out to the community once again to sympathize with them and apologize for whatever transpired. However, I will ask that they kindly remain as peaceful as they've been. We understand their concerns, we hear them, and our government is doing everything to address it. We ask that they please remain within the confines of the law and just give it a little more time so that it can be properly addressed. Some of these things, it's been long standing, so it takes a lot of time to be able to go into it to provide a lasting solution. So we're appealing to them to please just hold a piece of it. They've done it for a while. A few more days to get it addressed. I don't think it will be a bad idea. So this is my appeal to our dear community. Growing out of that, we also realize that within the LNP there has to be, we have to set up our own use of force coordination team. As such, we brought in a long experienced law enforcement expert, Liberian bears who have been serving outside of the country. Our act creating the LNP allows us to bring in law enforcement professionals who have gone through training at a similar level at the National Police Training Academy or higher. So we've hired Mr. Juan Cooper to serve in our capacity to help us with our use of force issues. On the 21st of April, let's keep that for later. I think we should do all of the other issues there first. And part of our commitment, I know we did inform you all that we have set up a cold case file unit to look into issues surrounding concerns that people have over the years that were not properly addressed. And I'm complaining, I'm thinking they're too slow, but these things will take a lot of time for us to be able to, if we want to have a proper closure to some of these issues, we need to be extremely methodical. So I'm complaining that you guys are slow, but they're assuring me that, Chief, we're doing everything we can to make sure that these things are addressed properly. So in some cases, it's not just a thing coming in to say that something was wrong about it, and you must find something wrong with it. So they've been very, very careful as to how they proceed. However, we've come to a closure on the firearm issue, in that the importation of illegal firearms, that I think it was some that happened 3 years ago, and that particular matter has been closed. We have charged suspect Barbara Diba and Ezekiel Tama for the crimes of criminal conspiracy, criminal facilitation, smuggling, aiding consumption of crime, supplying firearms, destructive devices, and ammunition for criminal activities to ineligible persons, and possession and sale of physical objects for lethal use. Also charged in absentia is Mr. Boyd Benjamin Baker, who we could not get because I think he's in the U.S. according to the investigation. We also established that there was inappropriate action taken by some of our officers. And some of the issues there were on criminality. So all of these officers, according to our own processes and procedures, 8 of them have been forwarded to the Professional Standard Division for further probe based on their actions carried out during the search and seizure of these weapons. If and when the Professional Standard establishes criminality with these officers that have been turned over, it will be forwarded back to the Crime Services Department and prosecuted, investigated, charged, and prosecuted as well. So that is ongoing. They've already interdicted and we're going to wait for the professional student to send their report. On the 21st of April, I traveled to the United States of March. March. So, I think I'm trying to run the year. So it was 21st of March, I left for the US to visit other law enforcement bodies to seek help for the LNP and improve collaboration and cooperation with other agencies. We were able to visit few departments, law enforcement departments in the U.S. and to ask for some help. We visited in Minneapolis, the state of Minnesota. The Brooklyn Park Police Department was our first area because that's where we have the largest concentration of Liberians within that state. And they were very gracious. That meeting was organized by the former councilman, Mr. Winfred Russell. It brought together a lot of people who have been supported to Liberia, the leadership of the Liberian community there, the head of one of the biggest Liberian congregations in the U.S., two former city mayors of the city of Brooklyn Park, prosecutors, and other people. I mean, these are people who have just been quite supportive through the course of Liberia. Some of them have never been here, but some they just gravitated towards supporting the Liberian people in Liberia. So from that meeting, the meetings were in twofold. One with the police chief was just it was one, and then the rest of the folks in a separate meeting. The police department there has committed to providing training for at least 30 Liberian National Police officers. They're going to go in two different sets, 15-15. And then there is not just going to be the Brooklyn Park Police Department, they're going to incorporate other cities around who have expertise in the subject matter that the trainings are going to cover, including the Hennepin Sheriff Office as well. So that commitment is there for the training. However, there's a lot of details that we still need to work on surrounding the logistics, how we're going to get in there, who's going to pay for it, and all of that component that is something that we're working on. But we reach out to the Liberian community, they were willing to help in whatever regards we're looking for help from them, and that commitment is very, very solid. After that, we met with the group that I mentioned, including the Liberian leaders, and in that meeting, we got overwhelming support from the former mayors and the Liberian community as well. So we're still putting all the details together, but at least we can safely say we've secured training arrangements for 30 Liberian National Police officers. And what we intend to do is that these officers who will be selected, we should put a careful selection process, considering giving female priority. But we're going to ensure that all of these people who will be selected will have to first complete the instructor development course here at the Liberian National Police to ensure that they do have the ability to transfer knowledge. Because this will be more of a training of trainers, so that when they return home, they will be able to transfer whatever knowledge they acquire from the U.S. to other officers who may not be privileged to go there at this time. So we're working out the details. We'll keep you informed as we progress in these areas. The next visit was at the U.S. State Department. It was a full day. Of meetings, and the meetings covered the Office of Global. The purpose of that meeting was to strengthen partnership and enhance our law enforcement service delivery. The meeting covered the Office of Global Crimes, the Office of Knowledge Management, and on to the Deputy Assistant Secretary to discuss the vision of LNP. So when these meetings are from 9 o'clock straight to 3 o'clock, one meeting after another, discussing different issues as to how we can gain support. So we went into that, there were other issues that came about that we had to address, but it's all about just preparing us to improve our service delivery. We, the vision that was presented is the same that I shared with you all, and it's all about transforming the LMP, professionalizing it, and moving on from our traditional policing to more of an intel-led, community-oriented policing that we're going to be blending with the issue of conflict sensitivity and anti-fragility. So this vision, we're looking more at reducing our use of force and being more of consensus building, engaging the general community, getting the whole community supporting about everything that we do. It's all about bringing service alive. And because of this, it now changes the dynamics of the setup and the structure. It now provides more leadership role for female officers because the issue that we're addressing here is that we want to make sure that there's equal opportunities for male and female. It doesn't mean that we all have to do the same kind of work, but the opportunity should be equal for both genders. So with this new philosophy that we're driving, it will give rise to availability of more senior roles for female officers. And so we're looking at least 33.3%. That's the floor. And that we're not saying that's where it stops, and there's nothing that limits it from going as high as it can get. And that's why we're going to be providing all of the support to ensure that it increases. Because this new structure now will provide more roles that female leaders can now occupy. So what part of the discussion was to make a determination as to how we can develop female officers to now start to improve on their ability to take on most of these leadership positions. We're working closely with the INL and IDLO. IDLO is the implementing partner for INL that's driving this, and they have an excellent team. That team has been engaging with the LMP, the currently running projects with us to ensure that this vision comes alive. The next step going out of this visit is the support for the amendment to our administrative instructions and our administrative regulations. And if we also see need to look at amendment of the Police Act as well, it will reach to that point. But the first and foremost focus is to look at the administrative instructions and regulations. And the reason why we're looking at this point in time is to give it a more gender-sensitive review, to include more issues, to incorporate things that were left out that supports the drive for this entire increase in female participation. And the reason why we're driving this is because, I mean, for a very long time, I think female have been left out, especially when it comes to the security sector, and the opportunities have not been fully given to them. So it's only fair that as the philosophy changes and it now brings on more positions that they can occupy, that we give them the chance to do so. Why we desire to get to this 33.3%, we may not have developed at this particular point in time sufficient female to occupy all of those positions. And working with IDL and the INL, the LMP, we're now developing the succession plan. We should go be supported by the development plan. So take for example, if we do the exercise, everybody apply and we get all of the officers who want in these different positions, and we get less than 22% female. That means we still need to do more to reach our flow. So what do? We look at the development plan and see where they are, what's required to bridge the gap, so that we can get them operationally ready for these different levels of promotion. We're trying to, part of the discussion was to bring forth the order of merit system in the Liberia National Police, because this thing has been on the books forever. It's been written, beautifully printed there, but it's just never come alive. I've written the Minister of Justice to ask for the induction of the Policy Management Board. And once the board sits, the board will start to review all of the different, so we, as part of the exercise, we've gone ahead to attach the requirements for rank. So take for instance, almost all the officers you see here are five, excluding we who are appointed by the president. There's only five officers in the Liberia National Police that have ever been commissioned by a president, not this president, but I think it was managed to leave there. So only those five officers who permanent ranks here. Everybody else you see will rank their acting. So right now we set requirements for all of those ranks, and they will be going into verify. So if you're acting at a rank, you now have to go there to see if you have what is required to even hold that rank that you're acting with. And if you do not meet the requirement, automatically you will have to adjust to where you fit within that process. When that is done, we're going to send it to the promotional board. The promotional board will review it, and then we now have people applying for different positions. Before that rank will be given to them, they will have to go back into the academy, do their testing, do their training. We first do training because we want to orientate them, because some of these people haven't been back to the academy almost 10 years for no in-service training. So they will be orientated and then given the test. And if you pass the test, then it's forwarded for appointment, and then we ask the president to come and commission where necessary. Then the officers will officially have the rank. And then when that foundation is built, it will, one, try to reduce the illegitimate political interferences and the outside recommendation, not just from government officials, but from everybody else, friends, family, everybody else knows somebody who must be promoted. So now it takes that responsibility away, that headache away from you, and put it on what is written, what it should be the guiding principle, because now you have in place an order of merit that has been built for the institution. So the State Department will only welcome the division. They're willing to support. There's no official commitments, but after here there will be a meeting, a follow-up meeting immediately after. There will be a follow-up meeting with the State Department through the INL. The program officer will be here for us to further discuss the issues, and I know that there will be help coming our way from that regard. We also met with the former, after that meeting, the former chief of the Minneapolis Police Department, Chief Medario Arredondo. That was the chief that handled the George Floyd situation in Minnesota. He's regarded as one of the top law enforcement practitioners in the U.S. who have managed serious conflicts. I've had the opportunity to work closely with him while I was there. So he has committed to come to Liberia to visit us soon to have some leadership training with senior management here at the LNT. When we finalize all of the arrangements for his travel to Liberia, we will inform the press, and then he will come here to provide some of his expertise and share his experience in managing the George Floyd situation. There's so much that we can talk about, but I think I wanted to give time for questioning. But let me just touch on this one last point. Our approach to the public safety issues is completely different from yesterday. It's everyone's expectation that motorcycles and keke should be off the street by now. That's not our approach. Our approach is more from the standpoint of building a culture of safety. And this culture of safety doesn't stop with motorcycles and keke, it goes to all road users. So we've been engaging at different levels. Education, which is a cardinal point, because most of the people who use the road do not even know anything about the road they're using, what the signs are, or what the regulations that govern the road that surrounds you. So we're working closely with civil society. We're working closely with different unions, schools, to ensure that the educational component is ongoing, and to build consensus. Like I said, the philosophy here is changing. It's more before, I mean, we will be ready to go and just start running people off the street. But no, things and times have changed. We're moving from force to service. So we've been engaging all of these different road users, including the motorcyclists and the riders, to come together so that we can now have an understanding, aiming to show them a lot of other cities, how these people operate. We told them our concern about their safety, and which is the most important thing. We told them what the requirements are as per the law. Driving and using the road is a privilege, it's not a right, and it comes at a cost. So if you're using it, you have to be able to pay that cost. You have to register your vehicle. You have to be able to provide insurance. So all of these things, I mean, they're not exempted, and if they're able to meet up with those requirements, they should be able to use the road. So, and the same reason why we would not allow a truck to go down Coleman Hill is the same reason why we would not allow motorcycles and keke in certain areas. So, but we did not just come and say, "Oh no, you're not going to go here, you're not going to go there." We gave them a list, we brought them together, we brought them to the table, gave a list of places that we intend to restrict, and we sat down and we all agreed. We said, well, okay, if you know, we beg, we need this area. So, okay, you go ahead, you can take it off. So, after consultation, we've agreed on what the no-go zones will be. We signed a memorandum of understanding with them and with civil society. And right now, we're in the sensitization phase, and enforcement is going to begin by the 15th of May. So we've given sufficient time in between for education, consensus building, sensitization before we can even come to the enforcement component. And even with the enforcement, we're putting different layers in place so that it's not just they against the police, because we're trying to limit our interaction that will result in violence. There's a lot of exploitation of vulnerability that's ongoing from within the political space, trying to manipulate people in so many different regards, for civil disturbances and rioting in different areas. And this particular group is an extremely vulnerable group that is being exploited as well. So that's why we're carefully, it is not just because of that, but because we're managing the space in a way that we are responsible to preserve the peace. So we're doing everything methodically to ensure that while it is true you're acting in this space, you may be acting irresponsibly, but we as law enforcement professionals will do everything to ensure that the peace is kept. So it may be seen as we're being slow, but we're sure, definitely sure that once we start, we're not going to have to commit all of our resources. We're now going to be relying on them. They have their own security structure, which will provide some level of training for, that will even be doing their engagement before it even reaches the police. So our involvement will be very limited with that, but we can assure you that once it starts, it will be sustained. We're looking at increasing our presence all over. We're deploying very smart technologies, looking at deploying smart technologies. The challenges are there, challenges will always be there, but we'll always find a way to work around it. Very limited at this point in time with the number of vehicles we have for operation and motorcycles. But I'm pleased to announce to you that we have gotten a first donation of 20 police vehicles that are being shipped as we speak to Liberia, and we expect them to be here, within a period of 30 to 45 days. In addition to that, the economic management team and the debt management team as well have also accepted a proposal from a group called Dutch Health. And Dutch Health proposed that a transportation package for the Liberia National Police in the tune of, I think, $5.13 million. And all we have to do is to provide the different specs of the vehicles that we want, and that's going to be purchased. The government will pay an upfront of 15%, and then over a period of 5 years, pay the rest of the money. So when that happens, When that happens, you should be looking at within the next three to 4 months, an add up of almost 80 additional police vehicles to include specialized vehicles, armored personnel carriers, troop carriers, and specialized vehicles customized for our terrain to enhance police operations. I know the key question that will follow will be, oh, but auto cars and things like that, they're coming for all. Yes, I share the same concern. Police people, they just from the same community members. They don't come from different places. The same attitude we have in the community is the same attitude that we bring here. It's all about being responsible to take care of what's being entrusted to you. And people have a way that once they get government property, they believe that it belongs to the government, so it can be treated any kind of way. But there is a system being put in place here to guarantee the Liberian people that the money that's being committed, taxpayers' money to pay for the equipment for us to improve our service, will be properly managed. There is a fleet management system being put in place. There's tracking. All of those vehicles that will come with GPS tracking, so we know where they are to manage the fuel and to manage how they're deployed around the city. The fleet management component will ensure that the vehicles are serviced on time and that they're maintained. The good part of it, because they're all new over the next 1 year, you have just maintenance. And once we can maintain them on time, then at least we'll be able to push it so that it doesn't go into repair immediately. But there are other policies that are going to be put in place to ensure that they're well protected. Like, we're not just going to have vehicles just given to people all over. It will be in the fleet. The fleet will have its own drivers licensed and trained to be able to operate those vehicles properly, just to give some level of comfort to the people. And there's one thing I always remind those who are privileged to have police power. You are there to protect life and property. Life and property. Anytime you're involved in an accident, you already failed as a police officer because you just couldn't protect the property that has been entrusted to you. And you know the consequences that come along with that. I'm going to be asking for your support. Please, let's work together, share information with us. You all are out there. Everyone with a mobile phone right now is a journalist. Any inappropriate action you see, please send them to us. We do look at social media, and all of the things posted on social media that are inappropriate, we take action against it. I know there was a video being circulated